This is Mr. Impact Wrestling himself, Muta, and you're listening to the Irish Whip.
Hookers? Hookers and Coke?
Hookers and Coke, man.
You're the only pro wrestler I know that wants to do this shit in the morning.
Yeti, you're a f***ing moron.
Put it this way, I think Sami Callihan might as well just change his name to Invader
I
1.
want to know why. Like, he can dodge any question. Like, I'll tell anyone that. You can tell me but I'm going to ask specific questions.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
WrestlingNewsSource.com. All the rest of you yahoos are out there dilly-dillying you little wankers. We're actually receiving real wrestling news.
This is
Brett screwed Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Hold two! Arm bar!
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
Sodas rule.
Yeah, they do.
What's up, everybody? JP here, and I am here with an awesomely cool guest. He's a psychedelic warrior. He's a hell of an artist, and in his time was a hell of a professional wrestler, Dave Cole. Dave, how is it going?
It is going great, especially after a pretty amazing week of wrestling.
Yeah, man, did you take it all in? I know you were out in New York and New Jersey for the weekend.
Yeah, so I went in on Thursday, and I got to see four different shows that day in Jersey at the White Eagle. The GCW Bloodsport shows with like Frank Mir and Dan Severn. And then AIW out of Ohio did an amazing show, and Interspecies Wrestling also did an amazing show. So started it off right, and I watched NXT with some childhood friends, and then Saturday was the big one at the Garden, man.
You got to see some childhood friends in NXT. I mean, not really childhood, but not far off.
No, for sure.
You know, I don't know if people know, like, they know you do the art, and I mean, they know you did like Beyond Wrestling and stuff around here, but you were around for a long time.
I know, and I always want people to know that about me, because I loved wrestling, or being in ring. I mean, I'll always love wrestling, but being in ring, I'll always have a passion for that, and I feel like I was pretty good at some points, and I got to wrestle a lot of really fantastic wrestlers and wrestle a lot of different places, and I felt very fortunate as a wrestler. But I guess that comes to an end eventually for everybody.
Yeah, now, but see, here's the thing: is you say you crossed over, but here's the thing: is like back when you were down in Connecticut.
Yep.
I was up in Boston. I was up in Mass, and I would help set up the shows and do security or whatever for a few of them. Yep. You guys, not many people came up as close as the two states are. Like, you didn't cross from Connecticut to Rhode Island to Boston, but you guys did. You were part of the Canadian Superstars back then.
Yeah, and I owe Busta a lot of credit for that, honestly.
You guys were like the first kind of ones to really bring it over, because there was it was very cliquey between the states for some reason, and I think you guys if you guys didn't break that for everybody, you guys at least started to break the ice on that.
That's awesome that you say that, because I never really thought about that. Yeah, you're right. Like, Connecticut had their guys. I mean, when I was growing up in Connecticut, watching like Assault Championship Wrestling, and I don't even really know who else was around, but the Connecticut guys were the Connecticut guys, and but Busta really, I mean, he helped me out getting around when I first trained, and he was already kind of making his way around everywhere, and he got hurt a little, so he needed a tag team partner, and that's kind of how we connected, and we ended up. I loved being a tag team. I thought we were different. The Canadian gimmick was just, outrageous at points. Yeah, I love teaming with Busta.
You guys got a lot of heat, and it was easy. Or you guys made it seem easy, anyway.
Yeah, and the foreign gimmick definitely helps,
But you guys had I was, NECW, PWF, whatever, and you guys had Brian Cairo with you there, and I can remember fans going after you guys.
They never went to this extent in Massachusetts, but when we were teaming out in Ohio, we had people chase us out of a building once. They were so mad. I couldn't believe, people could still get to that point, but Randy was really good at pissing people off.
In and out of the ring.
yeah, for sure.
But now you just brought up Ohio, and you guys started going out there. In my eyes, so basically from an outsider looking in, that was where your career really kind of took a turn and progressed a lot.
Yeah, thank you for noticing that. That was so me and Busta went out there and we did good. We had some memorable feuds with Faith and Nothing, who's this guy Ricky St. Page, he's been CZW champion. He's just at his first big tour of Big Japan Pro Wrestling. And I used to backyard wrestle with this guy, so we went from backyarding in Ohio to having a really classic feud out in Ohio, and then now we're both kind of doing our singles thing. But and then me and Busta just we just went our separate ways. I think it was time. I was ready to see if I could do it on my own, and that was important to me, just to prove myself I could do it on my own. And when I was out in Ohio, that's kind of when I won the championship. I was still kind of doing the Canadian gimmick, and I wanted to figure out how to show myself for myself and not rely on something else. And I just kind of started almost like a loose cannon type vibe to myself with my craziness and just being a lot more intense, and almost when I won the championship, it just turned me crazy, almost like Bob Backlund. And that developed into the Psychedelic Warrior, which is just pretty much an extension of who I am in normal life.
Yeah, I think that from what I see, especially with your art, that really fits.
Mm-hmm.
And now your artwork is your main focus now. When did that start? How long have you been drawing?
Drawing my whole life, and I never focused on. Well, when I was younger, around 9 years old, I would go to WWE Access or whatever it was called back in the day, and I would draw wrestlers, just copying out of WWE magazine or and just have the Undertaker sign them and stuff. I've got some old autographs on some original drawings of my stuff. And then as I grew up and went to college, I never focused on wrestling art. It's just I was focused on other stuff. And then one day it hit me. I was like, man, I love wrestling. I don't see much just original paintings and stuff. Why don't I do that? And since that moment, I love both, so why not do it?
I'm not an art guy at all, but I own I own one of your prints. I have the Wu-Tang Clan, Ric Flair.
Okay, that was a big one for me.
Man, I can remember because that got stolen from you. Not stolen from you, well, sort of stolen from you. People.
Well, yeah, many people actually did steal that, but they also stole the idea and kind of made it their own. But that's the art world, I expect it.
I can remember every time I would see someone selling that T-shirt online, just tagging you on it on Facebook, so you would see it, and it got tiresome.
That was great.
But now Wu-Tang Clan actually used that at one point, right?
Yeah, they didn't contact me or anything, but I mean, they used it as their profile picture to promote a upcoming tour for a little while.
How awesome was that?
It's so great, and that that just inspired me to like really like realize I could just get these people's attention, people I looked up to for a really long time, and it gave me confidence to kind of approach people nowadays and approach bigger companies and just musicians that I like, just throw it out there and show them my style. And some people may love it, some people it might not be up their alley, but if I don't put it out there, I'll never know. So that was a big moment for me. It just gave me some more confidence.
No, that's like that picture is. I keep it. It's in my room. I have a frame that I have our logo in, and I'll slide in that every once in a while, and I kind of rotate them.
Nice,
and it's because that's awesome.
That. Yeah,
but now you do a lot of like a lot of your artwork is kind of like the crossover type of stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you've done, I know a lot of Simpsons wrestling and stuff like that.
Yeah, Simpsons, video games.
What inspired your mind to like just do the crossover stuff like that? Because like, I don't know, like everybody in the history of time has heard Ric Flair woo and has seen the Wu-Tang symbol, but no one thought to put them together.
Yeah, just combining my interests in it. Those are two things that maybe aren't in my brain all the time, but at some points in my life, Wu-Tang was one of my favorites, and I casually listen to them from time to time now, but
they ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah, right. Ric Flair ain't nothing to fuck with either. But just combining interests and trying to like find just something unique for me to focus on, and things I was passionate about, something I would like. I wouldn't mind working on constantly to try to make a little extra money. And I had a full-time job back then too when I first started focusing on wrestling art. So I was only doing it sparingly when I had the time. And compared to now, it's my full-time. The evolution from that point to now has been incredible.
So the art is your full-time job at this point.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So only for this past year. So because I just moved to Denver 6 months ago, or 7 months now. And so when I was in Connecticut, I still had a part-time job. I was still relying on that. So I was still doing art a lot more, but I still was relying on something else. And now when I moved to Denver this past year to follow my girlfriend's job, I didn't have a job because I moved away from the one I had. So I was like, let's just try this out. And it's I think the amount of focus and work I've put into it has it's turned into something I can sustain for now.
Well, now you're also doing like ring canvases, right?
Yeah, and that started just for Beyond Wrestling, very casually. Once a year, I was doing it for their big events, and that kind of steamrolled the same way. GCW saw that, Game Changer Wrestling, and they've been a huge part of my growth, and I owe a big shout out to them. They helped get a lot of eyes. Game Changer turned into Impact Wrestling, and then Impact turned into New Japan, which turned into the Garden show, which is it's still unreal to me. Like it hits me in waves where I'm like, I can't believe that happens. Like, man.
So you you did the canvas for the first show at Madison Square Garden that was not WWE, WWF, whatever.
Right.
It wound up like being headlined by a couple of New England guys. So I guess New England kind of owned that arena. Because I mean, you had Brian Malonis with the pre-show and the Battle Royal. You had the Kingdom later on, and then Dave Cole drawing the canvas. Did you you went to the show obviously and got to check that out?
Yeah, so I actually have a funny story about how it came to be. So I did the canvases for the New Japan shows down in North Carolina and Tennessee, and that was my first experience in working with them. And then I knew MSG was on the horizon, but I didn't think it was a possibility. It just seemed so still far out of my reach, even though I had done this first canvas for them. So I started typing an email one day, and I didn't send it. I just couldn't get the balls to do it. And then one morning I woke up and I started retyping it again. And as I was retyping it, they sent me an email asking me to do the canvas for Madison Square Garden. And I was just like, what are the odds that would happen? Right. And that just that's when I just got really focused, and I was like, okay, we're doing this. I'm going to make this happen.
That's amazing. And where your career was going, you could have.
Sorry, go on.
You could have been there. The way your career was going, honestly, you became a standout. You became somebody who, I mean, the younger kids here were looking up to you at the.
Yeah, I know, and
the fact that you're still around for them, I think, is amazing.
And that's a big thing for me is I feel like my in-ring career was headed in that direction. I was getting extra looks on for WWE. I was kind of the path was just rolling. It was kind of moving in the right direction. And then when I broke my leg, I feel like I was at the high point of my career, and it just never, I could never regain that momentum after my leg injury. It just, and that was really hard to admit because I felt like I was just kind of reaching the point where I might break out. And it's just hard to kind of admit that you can't go that hard anymore. So it just with head injuries too were really kind of messing with me. I was getting after matches, I'd be vomiting in the back. It was just getting to the point where I just knew I should, for my health, kind of calm down with it. And with the art kind of picking up too, it just kind of it was a natural progression into the art.
Yeah, and you stayed around shows. It wasn't I mean, if anything, that probably made it harder for you, but it's better to do what you did and walk away while you could still walk, while you were still alive, while you still had your mind.
Yeah.
Than to risk any of that. And you don't know what the future brings.
Amazing Red retired recently. I don't know if you watched the video that he posted about it, but he basically said the same thing I was saying. And Red's done a lot in this business. He achieved a lot of his goals. Same thing with me. I achieved a lot of my goals, but when it's really affecting your health and you're thinking about your future, you have to stop eventually. So there just has to be a line you draw where, if you're constantly getting injuries and it's affecting outside of wrestling your whole life, it's you just have to suck it up and say, I got to do something else. I got to focus on another portion of the business, whether it's art or training or anything.
The art is definitely, man. It's you have a very unique path into how you got to where you're at. Where you're at is a very unique spot, and that's sort of a good thing. You want to be different in pro wrestling, and geez, Dave, I don't know anyone else that's doing what you're doing and being successful at it. So,
I think it's a really cool story, just the transition, and you're the first person I've kind of had to talk to about it. So I really appreciate you being able to even talk about this. It's great.
Well, cause like I said, I have the Ric Flair picture. We talk about you all the time. Because me and Josh, when we do this, we do it through Skype, and no one else can see the video, but we're videoing with each other, and I'll just always point to the picture, and then we'll bring up you, and this story's I don't know. I gotta throw Matt West under the bus. Matt wanted to rib you for years and just have nobody, because when you were doing the Canadian Superstars, you used to sing the Canadian national anthem, and you always got cut off by whoever the good guy was.
Yeah.
and Matt was not going to send someone out. Matt wanted to not send somebody out and see how long you could go.
I feel like he really delayed it one time maybe, and then just really left me hanging, but then it didn't let me. He eventually hit somebody else's music, but that was a great feud too. We had a pretty long-standing feud, culminating in that crazy match with the thumbtacks and everything.
Yep. Yeah, that was. I mean, they brought Dave Padula back, right?
But what was that?
Did they bring Dave Padula back in for one of those matches too with you guys?
Yeah. I feel like man, I haven't thought of Dave in a while. Wow.
Yeah, I think if I remember, because that was around when I started coming around, and you guys were, because Kyle was wrapping up again.
Yep.
And I think that was right when that was, you guys did a lot.
Yeah.
You guys.
That was big for us in New England too as the team, because we got I think that was kind of one of the first places that really focused on us, gave us a shot with the titles, and we were there for a while. Yeah.
And there was 300 people in that armory every month.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
I used to love wrestling that place. That was fun. That was a really hot period for them.
Yeah, it was cool. It was.
Yeah.
But you guys
still around.
Just
a lot of the New England standouts. Yeah, that was a lot of guys were just at their prime.
Yeah, Walters. You had Handsome Johnny. Man. Yeah,
it's so wild seeing Johnny with the War Raiders, and
it's so
cool. I wrestled him so many times just in Elks Lodges and
yep.
all over.
You look at them, and him, Sasha. Kofi wasn't long. Sasha and Kofi weren't around here for too long, and I feel
I tell people that all the time. Kofi got signed real quick because I think people just saw that he was going to be a star.
Yeah, well, yeah, he had everything, and obviously, you look where he's at now.
I know, right? I'm watching him as we speak right now.
Incredible. They brought, and I didn't know Kofi. I could talk to you guys. I was always cool with you and Buster. I was always, you know what I mean? There was certain people I was always good with. Kofi, I'd say hello to, shake his hand, but I didn't know him. But that brought tears to my eyes watching that, because I knew what that meant.
Oh yeah, no, it brought tears to everybody's eyes I was with. It was just one of those, that's a wrestling moment right there.
And Warbed's just where he's been, his injuries,
especially
and what
after injuries and stuff. I was just worried he would just never get a shot. And it's so awesome to see what he's doing. He got such great responses too. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, the stuff back to you with the art, how can people reach Dave Cole? If someone wants to get a canvas done, or somebody wants to, where can they see your artwork?
I'm all over the internet. I got all my social media. I started going by the nickname Davey Painting. So on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Davey Painting, and I work with High Spots now, kind of. So for wrestling companies, if they go to High Spots and talk to them about getting a new canvas, they could see my art through there. And the DaveColeDojo.com is my website, where everybody could place commission orders and stuff like that.
There needs to be a real Dave Cole Dojo.
It's honestly been on my mind just since I can't go 100% as an in-ring competitor. I'd love to train a new generation of kids on being, safe workers, kind of, but also people that could stand out with a character and stuff. I think that's really important nowadays, especially with the pace people go in the ring. Safety is number one, I think, to maintain a long career, especially.
Yeah, it's
so maybe that's not out of reach, but my art is that I kept saying MSG is the coolest thing I'll ever do, and then I started thinking maybe MSG is the start of just bigger things I will do.
Right.
So I'm trying to focus on that and not use that as a ceiling, but use it as a trampoline to jump off into bigger things.
Well, I mean, if you're on High Spots, if people can get the custom canvases off of High Spots, I mean, and you're already working with New Japan in the U.S., like, why not get something over in Japan? Why not?
I know. I'm
NXT, UFC has to repaint their freaking canvases all the time because they're always changing sponsors.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good. I never see that, and that's something I never even really thought about. Like, other canvases like UFC or Bellator or whatever the fight companies are.
They have to do them all the time because it's. I mean, I don't want to give away trade secrets, but is it just like a silk screening type of ink that you're using, or is it just a regular ink?
No, I use paints, various paints. I'm still trying to figure out, what looks best on camera. Sometimes I don't want something that's going to be like shining or reflecting. And actually, somebody told me, one of the Ring of Honor guys, he said that they prefer wrestling on the hand-painted canvas like I do, because when they silk screen it or whatever they've done in the past, I don't know what the process was, but it would be slippery. So, people were slipping and twisting their legs. But the way I hand paint it, it like soaks into the canvas kind of.
Yeah.
And that's much better for wrestler safety. So I realize that's a big positive, and I think that helps.
You ought to get that. Whoever that was, get a few people to do like testimonials for it that have got people that have bought it, but people who've also that have wrestled in them.
So this past month was the most the canvases have ever really been. I did 6 of them, and it really got me thinking. Like, okay, I need to like focus on this aspect of my art more, and really, because I think I'm like one of like the only people who in like the world that like hand paints it at like this level. And I've never really been able to say that about anything. So I want to show people I'm a unique artist. I want to prove that to myself and to others that I'm a top artist. I have a lot to learn. I'll always have a lot to learn, but I feel like I got something unique, and I just want to ride the wave while I can.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got a long wave ahead of you. Like you said, there's other people are going to inevitably start doing it, but they're not going to be you. They're not going to be the first. They're not going to be the guy who, so wrestling business is political, and a lot of people.
Yep.
And I think that's gonna, you're making more connections now in doing this, like you said, like Game Changer and. Through Beyond, and that led to this, and that led to that, and, all of a sudden you're an MSG. Like, that's just... So other people are going to have to make those connections. And they're not going to...
So I'm a little ahead of the curve. And like you said, I know, people will follow in my footsteps eventually. But I'll just keep I'll have to do something fresh and new, just like the Ric Flair. Eventually enough people started stealing it where I was like, okay, that kind of idea is dead. And I still sell pins here and there, but like I've moved on to other things, and I think I'm smart enough to kind of keep coming up with new things, and as long as I can feed myself, I'm a happy man.
Now, do you still do like the crossover stuff?
Not so much anymore. The Funko Pops actually. Like that's a huge portion of my time, and I have a lot of fun doing those, and I get to kind of show my art in a different way, so it kind of breaks up. Like if I'm doing paintings or canvases, I kind of get not bored, but I like doing something different to kind of just freshen my brain up a little.
And the Funkos, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, those were something you just kind of did as a hobby and were like almost giving to the people that you were doing them of, right?
Yeah. Somebody brought like a blank one to me one day, and I had never even heard of them. And they were just like, "Oh, I see you paint," so I thought maybe you'd paint something on this. So I just did one, not thinking anything of it, and somebody was like, "Oh, I'll give you $40 for that or whatever," and it still like wasn't even in my head that I was going to do it consistently as part of my art career. But that's something else that just kind of steamrolled, and people saw that I did them in a unique way, and I was doing guys that weren't available commercially through Funko, so it kind of allows me to just make things that may never be a reality, like a crazy deathmatch wrestler or something. There's probably never going to be a Funko of that, but right. I can make that a reality.
I mean, I have a couple. I have a handful of Funkos.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge collector. If I see one I like, I'll buy it, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, the ones you were doing, like, I was looking through today, and, like, I know people are probably going to hate on me for liking this, or maybe hate on you for making it, but, like, the Fred Durst one is incredible.
Yeah, dude. I was so happy when somebody, like, sent me an email about doing that, because I normally do the wrestling ones, and I like stepping out of the box sometimes, and the fact that it was, like, Fred Durst made it was even funnier. And I like the challenge of, like, really trying to, like, find parts that work and kind of making the character fit their personality and stuff. So those are always fun to do.
Now, you did a couple of Finn Balor too, I think, right?
I feel like I've done more Finn Balors than anybody at this point, actually.
How cool was it to see the Demon come out at WrestleMania?
So cool, and I think that was like one of his cooler paint jobs.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
It just had a lot of elements with, like, the WrestleMania sun, the Demon on his back. It was cool.
The face I thought was very subtle, and then I was kind of like, and then when I saw the whole thing, I was like, oh my god, like it.
The face was a little more subtle. You're right.
I had to take the whole piece in to really kind of appreciate it. And that's usually how the Demon art has been, even back in, like, the New Japan days. It was like not the face not being so subtle, but just it being the whole piece that you had to appreciate. I knew, because me and you talked about that. I think probably at some little wrestling marathon thing.
Yeah.
We won't even get into that. But we had talked about Balor at that, so I knew you were a big fan of him, and I appreciated the Demon coming out at Mania.
Yeah, and Finn's been a big supporter. When he first came around to NXT, I was just really into the whole character and everything. I was doing a ton of T-shirt designs and stuff, and I was supposed to do his Demon paint for the show, the first NXT Road show in Philadelphia. We had been in contact, and I was supposed to airbrush the body paint on, but I didn't have an airbrush machine, so it just it didn't pan out. But he always retweets my stuff. He's a great guy.
That's awesome.
I owe a lot to him.
Were you around the little while he was around here?
Yeah, we worked a couple shows. I want to say it was Marati's shows. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but when he came in with Fergal Devitt as Fergal Devitt, he might have came in with Mikey Nichols, I think. Who was that?
They did an NECW show together.
Okay.
And that was, so he had his little run here when he first came over. Then he went out to the dojo, and he had gone to Japan, and he came back here with Mikey.
Okay.
But
I thought I remembered Mikey coming around too. Mikey's doing big things now, coming out of NXT, and he went to New Japan. So that's cool to see. He's come a long way too from that point.
Well, like those guys, because they did what you did. Like, you took the jump from here to Ohio, not knowing what the hell was in Ohio, and they took the jump. Fergal coming from Ireland to here, and not knowing what was going to come. I think Mikey kind of had an idea, because he came a little while after, but they
made it work.
Yeah, and I think Fergal had an idea of where he was going. I think the dojo had already called him, but he started on the East Coast and worked his way over.
Right.
So it's
that's wild to see that progression.
Yeah. I mean, with him, you kind of knew what was going to happen at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's always had that something about him.
If it didn't, they missed a ball somewhere, and they miss a lot of balls.
Yeah,
they catch a lot, but there's only so many to be played, you know.
Yeah, a couple go through the legs.
But yeah, it's So the amount of guys that so you was actually gonna do his artwork, huh?
Yeah, and now that he's traveling so often, it's a little harder to kind of get opportunities like that. But we still stay in contact. He's a great guy, and it's cool. Like most of those guys that are traveling around now are New England natives, like Biff and Drew Gulak and guys that wrestled in Beyond for so long, and I really got to know. So every time they come out, it's just extra special.
I've never been to a Beyond show. And
Interesting.
I was one of those people in the beginning who I didn't like the idea of the no fans.
Yeah.
But like what he's done with that, and I mean, so many people have come out of there. He's either knows something that we don't know, or he just has an incredible eye for talent, and I got to give him credit at this point.
Yeah, and the no fans thing has kind of like fallen to the wayside.
Yeah,
with the growth of Beyond, and I think if anything, it just helped. Even if it was in a negative light in some ways, it helps people notice Beyond. And Drew, the owner of Beyond, he's tried different things over the years, and I think that's kind of what's just helped them kind of stand out a little. And they just cracked 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
That's crazy.
It's wild to see the growth.
I think that's actually more than WWE, isn't it?
They're, I want to say on the list of like wrestling companies, they're maybe like number 4 or 5, I think, which is still crazy for a relatively small company out of New England, you know. So yeah, their growth has been pretty wild, and just I think the Beyond fans are passionate, and when the wrestlers wrestle in front of them, their 100% comes out, and I think that's why Drew has an eye for that talent. He could kind of spot guys who are really passionate, and Drew will, even if they're not noticed, he'll give them a chance to kind of prove that they should be noticed. And I think that's the quality point of Beyond, is recognizing talent that isn't on that level, but potentially can be.
I think what he's had the ability to do it came from, in my eyes, from watching from the outside, it came from him doing the Look Ma No Fans. Mm-hmm. One, I remember that website. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of it, but I remember it. It stuck out to me.
Yeah,
but exactly. 2, he had everybody around the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And when that involved...
Like the wrestlers?
Yeah.
Or the fans? Yeah.
Well, it started out as the wrestlers. When that involved to him selling tickets, now the fans are around the ring. And I wasn't too sure on that at the beginning. I knew, obviously, it would be safe because you guys all know what you're doing in the ring.
Yeah.
But
fans have gotten hit before.
But it created like an ECW type of feel. Like the fans are like a part of the show, you know?
Right.
And that's what every company, whether they tell you that or not, has tried to do.
Yeah, that electricity, that
there
is. There's something about it. I don't know what the word is, but
because the few Beyond shows that I've watched, and I will watch them online, you see the same fans front row every time.
Yeah, and
you know,
yeah, it's like the new Green Lantern fans is the Hawaiian shirt guy. Yeah.
Exactly. They all have their thing.
and it's cool. I saw a whole group of the Beyond regulars right outside of MSG. And when 17,000 people are coming out there, it's funny. I ran into the people that I used to see every week.
Yeah. Well, that's now how was the give me an idea of how the feel was in MSG. Like, what was the?
Oh man! So
was it bananas?
Part of me almost refused to believe that they were going to use the canvas until I got in there and saw it. Like I thought maybe it would, I don't know, it got held up in the mail or anything. Like it just, I didn't believe it until I was in there. And then the opening match was the Battle Royal. And so Liger comes out, who I just got tattooed on my body not that long ago. And then out of nowhere, Great Muta comes out, and like they're squaring off both on one side of my hand painted logo, which like the important thing is like that was so much work for me. Like these canvases are not easy to do, and like I worked through migraines. I just like worked through the night. Like I put so much effort into making them the best I could be, and to see like Liger and Muta standing in the middle of Madison Square Garden, like that's the moment when it hit me and like I lost it. I just like started crying, and after that I took it all in a much happier way. But just like it felt like a culmination of like everything I've ever done. Yeah.
Here's something too. That was Muta's first time wrestling in MSG.
See, I didn't even know that either.
He'd never wrestled for WWF.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, and like the fact that he was on advertised, and like the video screen was blocked from my view, so like I couldn't even tell who it was at first, and then I saw his face pop up on one of the side screens, and like I like lost it. I was just like freaking out. I was like, this isn't real. Like.
So put that into perspective. The first time the Great Muta wrestled at Madison Square Garden,
yeah.
He was on your canvas.
Yeah.
You know,
and,
what else is there on your bucket list?
I know that's the thing. That's why I was really saying, I was like, well, like how do I top this? I was like, and then Kevin Kelly on the broadcast. I still haven't seen this, but I got a million text messages when it happened. But Kevin Kelly gave me a shout out for doing the canvases.
That's awesome.
On the broadcast. So that was awesome. That was really kind of him. But I thought it added a unique element to the history of the show. So I emailed him about a week ago about it, and he didn't reply to my email. So I thought he didn't see it, or he just didn't think it was a good idea to do the shout out. But he did it, and that really meant a lot to me. I owe him a huge thanks.
That is awesome. Because I mean, I don't know what their buy rate was, but you know, everybody heard Davey Painting that heard it. So.
Right. Yeah. So
that is.
And it was a good weekend. You know, I brought tons of pins and business cards to hand out. And just the weekend in general, that many wrestling fans, it creates such a cool energy and people that are so passionate about it. It was an amazing weekend. It recharged my love for something I already loved a lot.
I had taken the weekend off and I just never booked nothing. I was going to go down and then just play it by ear on what shows I checked out. Because honestly,
right.
like I didn't have to see Mania live, and I wouldn't have wanted to pay that. I would have, you know, I'm going to watch it regardless, but I would like the G1. I would have liked to have checked out, and I know Fury. I would have liked to have gone down and bought a ticket for Fury for his show.
And there was too many overlapping shows. I couldn't see everything I wanted.
That's but next year I've already talked to I have guys that do our T-shirts. I've already talked to them, and I think we're gonna go down to Tampa as a group. So.
Yeah, that was my first Mania weekend, and it was a lot. Like I was exhausted after the first day, but I left there extremely happy and with so many memories that it was definitely worth it.
I did wrestle. I went to Houston for 25.
Okay.
And I didn't do a whole lot. I stayed with a kid with one of Booker T's students, so we did security for like his version of WrestleCon. I forget what he called it, but had a lot of big people there, and I got to meet a few guys, and it was cool. And then we just did the fan access and the Mania. It wasn't back then. It wasn't like it is now, where there's so many big shows.
For sure, yeah. No, that only started in the past couple of years, and it's really picked up. It's almost like a given now that there's going to be a ton of shows.
Yeah, and because it only makes sense.
Yeah,
you get so many wrestling fans there. Why would you not, if you're a promoter anywhere near there?
Yeah.
Why would you not run something? And Game Changer,
illogical not to.
I don't know what Game Changer's houses were like, but I know their promotion was awesome.
Yeah, all those shows were sold out. At least the GCW ones, the spring break shows, and they offer such a diverse cast of characters on those shows. It's those were really awesome. If you get a chance to watch those in any way, they had a guy with no legs.
How is that? Because I've actually heard he's pretty good.
I had never seen this guy. I had never heard of him. I had never come across him on Twitter, and I wasn't at the show. I think that show was Friday night, and I was watching NXT with my friends. But I saw clips, and he was doing kind of like springboard 450s, and like he did a 619, and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks immediately booked him just based off this one gif of him doing the 619 and stuff. And
is that right?
And that's the magic of Joey in the spring break and that whole crew of GCW. They love the uniqueness of wrestling, and they represent it in pretty much every way possible. Brett Lauderdale, Danny DeMonto, Joey Janela, they're all kind of mad geniuses when it comes to things like that.
Well, they're all guys. It's all the guys you just named have all been around. I think Janela's probably the one that's been around the least, and even he's been around for over 10 anyway.
I love Joey's story. Joey really just pretty much put his life into wrestling and was like, I'm gonna get noticed, and it took a lot. It took a lot of bodily damage, a lot of risk.
Yeah.
But
jumping
now
off the roof of buildings.
Yeah, but and that's. I remember watching that and it made me cry because I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe the guy broke his back. Zandig broke his back on that. It was a crazy spot. But now he's turned it into being able to book these amazing shows and wrestle a more regular style. So it paid off, and I give anybody credit that's gonna take a risk in whatever way it may be to achieve their dreams, because it's not easy. You got to stand out in some way.
And here's the thing with wrestling is right now, I think 10 or 15 years ago, your dream had to be WWE.
Right.
Now your dream doesn't have to be WWE. Your dream could be CZW or GCW, or you know what I mean? And there's guys that travel around, make a living on the indies that I don't want to say they don't want to be signed, but don't have to be signed.
That's such a good point to make.
You're making a living right now. You're not signed,
Oh, yeah, I know.
And you don't need to be. You're living your life. You're living your dream out. You're working in the wrestling business full time.
Yeah. And that's I think that's given so many wrestlers and artists, and even you doing security or I think it's given everybody a chance to realize if I want this, there's enough companies out there you can make it happen. It's going to be difficult. But if you really want it, we're all in this together. That's what I realized this weekend is it doesn't take one person to make a company work or one wrestler. It takes everybody from security to commentary to people driving the wrestlers from the airport. Like, it takes so many people, and like, it's such a magic thing because like, if one of those things is off, it doesn't work, and like, it just takes everybody coming together and working on the fly, working on problems that come up. Like, wrestling's such an amazing thing.
Now, out of this whole weekend, out of WrestleMania weekend,
yeah,
what was your best moment? Was it seeing Muta come out? Like, realize that Muta was going to be in the ring?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, and just, I mean, a combination of just seeing, friends I haven't seen in so long, guys I used to wrestle with who were main eventing, the AIW shows, or I think just seeing the passion in everybody, and like how much, like, my cheeks hurt from smiling after the end of the first day. Like,
that's awesome.
It just creates such a good environment. I wish, as tiring as it was, I wish that could be like all the time. But maybe someday there'll be multiple weekends of WrestleMania and wrestling shows. So,
I hope not. It's going to get expensive.
and long.
Like I even like I was up until the last minute contemplating going down like Saturday and just going for the day, jumping on a Greyhound and coming back that night, but I just couldn't bring myself to it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I was ready to go home after the first day, but
because I knew. Well, I knew if I went down, I wasn't going to want to leave Saturday.
Right.
I was going to want to stay Sunday and at least tailgate in, because the amount of people,
might as well do something.
Yeah, the amount of people I knew down there was crazy. So I can only imagine how many you knew and had to see and couldn't see.
Oh yeah.
It's
I didn't get to see everybody I wanted.
Now, was this like I know it was the busiest probably weekend, or the busiest couple of weeks painting the canvases. Was this would you say this was the best weekend in your art career, or the best?
Yeah, I don't see, how, as far as, MSG and just and I did the ring for the collective at the White Eagle too. I did the ring canvas, so that was, that had so many different companies on my canvas, and that tons of Japanese legends, UFC legends. So I've been so focused on MSG, but when I think about the Game Changer venue, there was some extremely memorable stuff happening on that art. So yeah, I think overall, if anything, it made me feel like I kind of took a next step in my art career, and I'm never sure where that is headed with art. It's so unpredictable. That's one of the hard parts, is not worrying about the future, because anything can happen. But I'm so focused right now. I wake up every day thinking about how to make it work, how to show the world what I can do in different ways. Like, just proving to even wrestling promoters that I'm a good person. You know me personally, but new people don't, and it's hard to maybe get people to take a chance on you sometimes. So it's an everyday hustle, but I've never been happier, and I've never been more focused on what I want and what I need in life. So I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Now, you're on the East Coast for a little while.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see videos of you at like the XWA or anything like that?
Beyond Wrestling is tomorrow. They started their weekly show.
Oh man, they got Gangrel tomorrow.
Yep. My partner is flying in from the airport. She's flying in from Colorado for a concert we're going to on Thursday. So it's a busy day tomorrow, but I would love to make it up there and kind of make a surprise showing at Beyond, but that's kind of going to be a last-minute decision. And then back to Colorado next week, and back to business.
So you went from painting, I don't know what size you actually painted, like when you did your regular art, like what I call your crossover artwork. I don't know what size canvas you use, but I assume
Those
it wasn't
small.
I assume it wasn't a 20-foot by 20-foot canvas.
No, not at all.
Like, how do
Never.
do you have to? Is that like something you have to do in like your backyard?
So, I mean, I used to live in like a city. I still live in Denver's a pretty big city, but I would have to like take the canvas and like bring it to like a basketball court or a flat surface of some sort where I could like fully lay it out, stretch it out as like flat as I could, and then kind of work on it in public, work on the design while it's all laid out, and then I bring it to like my living room and stack couches on top of each other and like fold up the canvas just so little pieces are peeking out. Like it's a big thing. Like it's not an easy thing. It's hard to make people even understand like how much of a hassle it is. But
your girlfriend must love that.
Yeah, dude, my girlfriend is a saint. I thank her religiously for putting up with it, but it's only because she sees that I want it so bad, and like, luckily, she's cool enough to help me with that and not kill me when she comes home and after a long day of work and there's couches stacked on top of each other. And, yeah.
Well, I think it's safe to say after this weekend, Dave, you made it.
Thank you, and it's been awesome talking about this. I don't get too much, so it makes me realize, I've done a lot and I've worked hard.
It's cool to see because like everybody in the world kind of saw what happened in the ring, and like you're sort of the unsung hero of that because like when you get a custom canvas, when you do a custom ring apron, anything like that, it sort of sets your company aside. And like, if you're going to be on TV or like now everything's on, IndieWrestling.com and Powerbomb and that stuff. If you're going to be on that, you don't want to just be another match on that when someone watches and looks and says, oh, it's AR Fox versus whoever. Like, you want to say, oh, look, this one's Game Changer, or, oh, look, it's Beyond Wrestling. And, like, the only thing that sets that aside is the canvases, really.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you've made such good points, and that's another one of them is, like, with the way, how easy it is to access so many different companies these days, like, you need to do everything to stand out. I actually just went and got a 6-pack of beer, and I was noticing like there's so many different types of beer, and like they all have these crazy art labels and stuff, and it's because like you need to stand out in any possible way you can. So I'm really focused on the canvases right now. I think it's a unique thing, and I need to kind of take it by the reins and steer it in a bigger direction.
I still think you should. I have our t-shirt guys at smart-mark.co.uk. I honestly think you should talk to them. And whether you do like Funko Pop art on the shirts, or you do some of your other artwork on the shirts, like I think there's money being left on the table by not doing that.
I'm gonna go there right after we get off the phone and
if you
look at
check them out, and if you can't, just tell them I sent you. And like they're up and coming, but they're actually gonna start selling Funko Pops pretty soon on the website, I think.
Oh, nice.
So
I mean, I'm open to all new connections. That's been so important too, is even working with up and comers like. Other people have great ideas, and I can't do this on my own. Sometimes I need a pin maker or a t-shirt company maker, to work with me to make my ideas a reality. So, meeting people is so important.
Yeah, and I mean that's like what we said earlier. That's it's a huge advantage in wrestling when you're a good guy who is very talented, and people are going to recommend you. You know, that's
Yeah.
I mean, you've
You
seen
know,
that
I'm all about
firsthand.
you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I think that's treat others how you want to be treated. I want people to help me, so I'll help people. You know.
No, so you head back up to Canada next week, huh?
Yeah, heading back up to Canada.
You are still a Canadian superstar to me.
Always a superstar.
So this is a quick funny story before we wrap up. But when I first started coming around, and I knew you and Buster drove to shows.
Yeah.
And I said, "Geez, you guys leave right after the show?" And you guys were like, "Oh yeah, we'll go right home." I really thought you guys were going up to Canada.
Dude, a lot of people did.
Nobody smartened me up for a couple of months anyway.
I think Buster was actually born in Montreal, but it was funny because I always looked at it like the FBI and ECW. You know, they had a couple guys that clearly weren't Italian, and we never kind of pushed that. I always just kind of like dragged it along that I was Canadian, but you know, I have no Canadian blood in me.
But Dave, it was great catching up. You guys need to check him out at Davey Painting everywhere, right? That's Instagram and Twitter. Look at this artwork, and if you see something you like, if you beg him, he might sell you a copy.
Oh yeah, maybe.
You know, that's like I said, I got the Ric Flair move. I saw that one day, and I was just like, I have to have this. I had to buy that off of you because it was something that was just so crazy to me. And it's two things I love. It was like Wu-Tang Clan to me is one of the best hip hop groups of all time.
Yeah,
and
iconic.
Ric Flair is Ric Flair. It's I needed that.
I think that's why it fit too. Like, I mean, if it wasn't somebody as iconic as Wu-Tang, it wouldn't have worked.
Right. Right.
Dude, thank you so much for talking to me about everything. I had a blast. Yeah.
Anytime you want to come on, Dave, you hit me up. And
awesome.
You got the number I texted you from earlier. That's my cell. So anytime you get anything you need us to talk about it, whether you want to come on or not, just send it to me and we'll take care of it.
Awesome. So you live in Montana now?
No. So the other kid I do the show with does, but he has the Skype with the call out option. So
okay. Oh, okay.
No, I'm still up in. I'm actually about a mile from the old Quincy Armory.
Oh, good.
So, if only someone would run there again.
Yeah, someday.
Yeah, that's funny watching, because you watch some of the people that were fans at those shows, like Anthony Green.
Yeah.
He's wrestling Gangrel tomorrow with Beyond, which is crazy. And
I think
Caleb
he just signed with the.
Yeah, he just signed with Evolve. Holy shit.
Yep.
AG, congratulations, man.
I know. Congrats, AG. One of my favorite referees of mine.
He's a kid that did everything, and he did it all.
Yeah, really.
From like day 10 or so, he did everything the right way. His first little while, but he was a little kid, literally a little kid. But him and Caleb Seltzer, I don't know if you remember Caleb. Caleb was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Caleb's running a company now and running pretty successfully.
Oh wow! Well, which company?
New England All-Star Wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. I always see flyers and stuff.
Yeah, he just had Jeff Jarrett in. He's got Bull James coming in next month.
Nice.
And he
Bull's
may
a good
run. I've never met him, but I will.
Yeah.
I'll be there for Caleb. But if anybody's going to run the Armory, it's going to be Caleb at this point.
Awesome. That would be cool.
Yeah, that's and it's funny just watching those two have come up. But Dave, thank you so much. I won't take up any more of your time. It's always a pleasure.
Great.
At Dave Painting, congratulations on this whole weekend, man.
Yeah,
super proud of you.
Hopefully, more to come.
Yeah, there will be. Your artwork got seen by millions, so.
I appreciate everything, man.
Dave, I'll talk to you later.
Guys, thank you, Davey.
We're out. Bye. All right, Dave, if you got anything else you need me to put over, just send it to me and I'll take care of you, bro.